Seabass, what's up, man?
How's it going, my boy Justin?
I'm doing well, man. I remember the first time that I met you.
So do I.
But it was your birthday, right?
Yep,
You
that
were
weekend.
you were feeling pretty good, but you still remembered my name the next time you came in.
Yep, I did. I didn't forget at all.
Yeah. And that was amazing.
First time in Reverly too, so that's why I'm like, at that point I'd only been here, a little over a year, but
Yeah.
I was finally getting out enough that I was like making friends and stuff. So that I definitely remember you. One of the first names I was like finally starting to get to meet people.
Yeah, man. That was super cool. I was actually super surprised, and I'm not surprised a lot, but you like remembered me. I was like, it was your birthday, and you were ripping shots.
Yeah,
You were getting it in.
yeah. Our group of friends was taking care of me well that day. They wouldn't let me pay for breakfast. Like they were taking care of me good that day. So
Yeah.
I was blessed for sure on that day.
Yeah, you had quite a wolf pack with you too.
We
It was a lot of people. They were all getting down.
Yeah, we were able to pull together like the Round Rock crew and staff that we like to hang out with and stuff, and then we're able to get everybody that's kind of more central to Austin and lives down here that we don't really get to see till the weekend or whatever when everybody's kind of schedules line up. So it was perfect. We had a mash of Round Rock in Austin.
What's the party scene like in Round Rock? I don't get up there too much.
Round Rock, I mean, we have a great party scene. We really do. It's just finding Round Rock at the right time, to be honest with you. Like ACL coming up in October, F1 in October, like that month, there isn't going to be a hotel within 50 miles of Austin. Anybody that drives from like San Antonio, New Braunfels or something like that usually is more south or more north. So we do get a lot of foot traffic from that, and that, keeps us super busy. So right now, everybody's just getting ready for football. We got a Longhorn game in 2 weeks. So, like I said earlier, people started school this week, and parents, that have kids and stuff are getting their schedules kind of realigned. But for the most part, we're steady year round. Round Rock has good money. That's another reason why I like it, because, it is an older demographic that is kind of settled. And so, I may have 10 people, but I'll still make $100 talking to those 10 people, because I've probably seen half of them every day.
Yeah. And are you still affiliated with multiple bars?
Yeah. So the bar, it's not a franchise or anything like that. It's just one couple, mid-30s, early 40s, and they own 6 bars. And so I pretty much am like their go-to guy for all of them.
Oh, damn. How'd you get that gig?
Honestly, lucky. So when I first moved down here and was just essentially looking for work and everything like that, I started working for Via 313, which is a franchise company.
Delicious pizza, by the way. Shout out to Via 313.
Yeah, they're huge. They started the Austin way, like in a food truck, and worked their way up. Yeah. And so, I was bartending, serving there in the mornings. And then the bar manager at the time, we had the GM and the bar manager were friends. They had a previous history. So he brought him in to help him, open that Via in Round Rock. And I was there at the time. And the bar manager was like, hey, he's like, you like working here and working this stuff. He's like, you would love my bars that I, also manage down the road. He's like, they're literally a mile from here. So I put him off for like a week, 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I was just seeing it out. And then we became super close, and we're good friends still to this day. So it match made in heaven, honestly. And one day after work, he's like, come on. He's like, it's literally right down the road. So I followed him right down to the bars and everything right in downtown Round Rock. And we got the first bar. I applied, and he walked me through all the bars that day. And so I got to see, everybody and everyone at the time and introduce myself. And immediately I got my application. I got in pretty at a good time too, because 2 of the bars were under construction. One was about to be remodeled. So, I was able to kind of get my foot in the door while that was going on and help while that was going on. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man. How did you get started in the restaurant bar world?
From the beginning, like where my mom is from in West Virginia. So I was raised and lived here in Austin. She's a nurse, so we've always kind of traveled with her having that gig. But eventually she wanted to go back to West Virginia. So whenever we were there, I'm not even kidding you, like from here to the bookshelf is an Italian restaurant across from her house. And so when I was like 15, 16, I would work there. And the reason I was able to work there, though, was because it was one of my friends' family's restaurants or whatever. So in the summers and when nobody was playing sports, essentially, we'd work at the restaurant and help the restaurant. So, that's just kind of how I got used to it, seeing how restaurants work and all facets of an, service industry. So, I just was comfortable with it. Not necessarily, I'm not serving or doing anything like that long term, but I do like the flexibility of that type of schedule where, and I do work hard. So thankfully, I'm blessed in terms of like, if I need a day off, it's not a big deal. They're not going to bat it. I really.
Did you start as like a host or a busboy or?
Yeah. Back 15 before I could even drive. That was another reason I got the job at the Italian restaurant, because I could just walk there. So I would bus And I would wait and stuff when I could if they needed me, if it was really. But yeah, no, just a busboy in the beginning, just getting all the cleaning up and all that stuff.
Did you ever hit back a house at all?
Yeah. I'm willing to.
Yeah.
I did it for Via actually. Is where I probably did most back of house. I mean, I had back house experience, from other restaurants and stuff. But at Via, I was actually like trying to do it for a little while because Via has obviously they have the food trucks, the one on Rainy and the one on West 6. So if you want to help and do that, which I did because they're in hotspots, I wanted to work those days on the weekends. Or those locations specifically, I had to know all of it. I had to know how to put the pizza together from beginning to end, the dough and everything like that. So when I was working in the food truck, it was like literally I'd look at you, take your order, and then I would turn around and make your pizza right with you. It was just right all in front of you,
Yeah.
So it was cool. I liked it though.
So you enjoy back of house?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I am an extrovert, but my introvert side comes out sometimes. And when my social battery is low, stick me in the back. You know what I mean? Let me be away from everybody for a while.
Do you get cranky back there?
No, not cranky. If anything, I'm like trying to break peace from the other cooks. You know, like keep everybody else calm.
Yeah, some of those guys over the years I've noticed they're just unhappy, but it's an emotional wave that they go through. It's not like they're always like that.
Yeah. No, it's like. It's usually older gentlemen or service industry people that have been in the industry 10 plus years, I would say usually. And they know better than me how that day is going to go. Yeah. So they know that like certain emotions are going to arise throughout the day. And so some of them will milk it a little bit more, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what happened after West Virginia? Because that's where it all started, right?
Yep. All started in West Virginia, my journey back to Austin. I started really getting into, like, I'd always been kind of around the industry, like in terms of hosting and busing, like we were saying. But once I was actually 21 and I could actually be a bartender and just like focus on one category of the restaurant and running that was a lot easier, became, more fun. And again, I could travel a lot more, especially with COVID. Once, college in Kentucky, I could do class from anywhere. So the reason I ever was in West Virginia was my mom was from there. So we went back. And so I had nothing, I always wanted to live everywhere, see everywhere. So in terms of going to some place I didn't know, there was no concern about that. But, I was there long enough. So it was like time to figure out, big city, big moves and all that type of stuff. So saved up, between college, I always lived in Lexington when I was in college. So I was in Lexington for 5 years, but I would still visit my mom more frequently since I was closer. You know what I mean? So that was a lot easier. And again, I could bartend when I would go back home and visit her, or back home in Lexington, which is where I called home at the time. That's where I was living. So that just back and forth, like me and my mom are super close. So it was just that constant back and forth. And again, that was like, she knew I was too close, you know what I mean? So like if there's something went wrong, I could get there, you know what I mean? I could. So it's like I was like, I need to get farther away, you know what I mean? I just need to create a little bit of a barrier to where, like, I know you guys are fine, they are fine. So it's like my mom and my uncle, they're completely safe. They got a nice house, or, medium sized house and everything like that with dogs. So they're totally fine. But yeah, they would just get used to me, you know what I mean? Oh, Sebastian will be back in 2 weeks, Sebastian will be back next week or whatever. So it's like, that cycle for me was too tiring. I couldn't take that cycle. So I was like, all right, let me pick where I want to be from here.
Sure.
And, that's where I just started putting together the plan. I was applying. I never applied anywhere in West Virginia anyways, coming out of high school and growing up. So I knew, I wasn't going to go there. Legitimately didn't give myself a chance, you know?
Yeah.
So I just kind of applied everywhere throughout the whole U.S. Like, my grades weren't the best. So it's not like I was getting into North Carolina or Duke or nothing like that. But I knew that, like, I don't know. I just had heard stories that, like, you don't always, like, I had above a 2.0, 2.5, 2.8, whatever, I teetered between 2 and 3. But I had heard, like, people with worse grades than me, like, getting into schools. So I was like, it does low key matter how good I do this application. You know what I mean? Because I might say something that triggers them to let this one 2.5 come in that maybe the next ones don't go through.
Right.
So I learned my lesson through that, from applying to colleges and trying to live everywhere.
Yeah, it's like algorithms, those keywords you got to pop in there every now and again.
You're not kidding. They work in real life too. Like
that's how it all started,
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were bartending in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the difference between Kentucky and Texas as far as the scene, bartending?
Question. Yeah, no, it's a great question because, I just was back in Nashville, so I can really say, but we, like, the culture, to say the least, completely different. So, like, in Kentucky, I know it's not the South, but in terms of, like, the 13 colonies and how everything started, it is very much like the South. So, like, you won't hear any Latin music, nothing like that. It is very, like obviously country music is a wide genre, but there's different versions of country music. So like they play more, I want to say like Tennessee country music, where they tried to claim like country music is from and stuff like that. So it's very much like that style of like blue collar people and blue collar women. You know what I mean? It's not so much where like, I mean, obviously there's whatchamacallit, there's people that do Instagram and stuff, influencers everywhere. Obviously there's influencers everywhere, but you don't see it as much, or like, people aren't, you could walk down the street in Austin and see, oh, that group is here for a specific reason. You know what I mean? You could tell they came from somewhere else. Where in Tennessee, everybody kind of knows everybody. It's small town city feeling in the sense of where, the people that do live in that city are there. And it is like Austin's bigger in the sense of like Lexington has one party street. I've got like, we're working with 3-4 different ones. Our one has 3 sections. So like, that's the other easier part is like, they're more confined to where their bars and where their like late night activities are going.
Yeah.
So it is easier to manage that way. Cause like even if you're working till 2, you kind of know where everybody is,
Yeah.
So that, I will say that for sure. Different culture.
Did you enjoy Kentucky more?
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. I enjoyed it in terms of like, when I first got there, obviously it was new. I knew nothing of the place. I didn't know anybody either, because that was the other thing. I wanted to go somewhere. I'd rather live somewhere where I know nobody than somewhere where I know everybody. You know what I mean? I was ready to start over. So when we had, whenever I had gotten into Kentucky, like, yeah, it was very, even cookie cutter like here, where, it was just bringing different set of eyes, and it was new to me again. But Kentucky, I will say now, helped me adjust here faster. So the 5 years there, it was a longer process that I was able to like sum up into like a year's worth of work here in Austin. So it did help me, and I did enjoy it. And that's why I'm like, I just knew nothing. So it was like, essentially how anybody would feel, I would walk everywhere, like in the city in the beginning, because I didn't know like who was hiring or what was hiring. So I was like, I'll just go. And I knew I was an active college student at the time. So, I used that in my favor and say, hey, I'm a local college student, just kind of looking for a job around here, just moved around. And so, yeah, that's literally, now I could tell you Lexington inside and out, but that's because literally from day one, I was like walking around, like, doing all that stuff. So it was fun and I enjoyed it. But again, like, I'm in my mid-20s now, and I do want assets. I do have long-term goals. I do want to have like my assets in a place that I would like to be and that I can get to them, and not just somewhere where I visit once every 6 months or something like that.
Yeah. What are you trying to do?
My biggest goal, and what I'm like, all work I love doing is like nonprofit work. So any way I can be useful to anybody, help people, like I honestly love doing that. So whenever I have days where I'm just like working for money, it tires me out some days, because, I'm like, I know I can be useful. You know what I mean? I know I can help somebody or something in some way or some project. So that's a lot of what the homework I've been doing the past couple weeks, is kind of seeing what I need to do for my nonprofit that I'd like to start. And I've been spitballing ideas. My initials are SM. So I've been thinking of SM squared nonprofit, because it could be single mom and single men. So, and that's just a subsidiary of it. And,
It's brilliant.
Yeah. So, that's why I'm like, I've been spitballing and trying stuff for a while. And now I'm to the point where I do need to find a board. Like I have to, like, it's the thing with nonprofits. You kind of have to have like a board, with you. So with my bars in Round Rock, hopefully I would love to bring on the owner's husband. We're super close. Him and the wife, like they have other companies and other stuff, so they're not really around the bars ever. And so with me doing this, I really think they'd be open to it, because like they do same sort of stuff in Round Rock. The wife is on like city council, and they're very involved in the Round Rock community.
That's awesome, man. I wish you the best with that. It's tough to get out of this industry. I know you mentioned earlier that it's easy to get in and out of it, but it's tough to get out of it. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Especially if you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Are you tired of it yet, you think?
Tired of the hours more so. Like I'm trying to be better in the sense of like, I don't know. When I was at college, I liked starting earlier, like having class earlier and being done earlier. That gave me the whole day to go work. That gave me the whole day to, let the dogs and do whatever I had to do out. So I don't like the aspect of where I need to be like my essential 9 to 5. I'm free. You know what I mean? Like I'm open and I'm able to get stuff and run errands throughout the day. And then everybody else is getting off work and I'm just starting my day. You know what I mean? Essentially when we've been operating around the same hours.
Right. So you prefer daytime?
Yeah, more so. I've learned that now. At least the older I got, I really didn't care, I guess, as much the past couple of years. But now, definitely, where I've like tried, you know, I mean, I've tried to have a good schedule. You know, you kind of have to, especially once you like, if you do go to college. I'm not saying everybody has to, but you learn that in college that you have to learn how to control your own 24 hours in a day. Like, if you don't have a job or anything to do, like, there are still other things you got to do. You know what I mean? To like kind of climb and get steps and hit progress and hit goals and stuff like that. So, you know, thankfully, you know, I kind of Kentucky spit me up and chewed me out in terms of like teaching me life and all that stuff. So, you know, it helped me a lot. And when I got down here, you know, I was trying, you know, I was like filed down. I was like new and improved in a sense. Like, you know, I felt a lot stronger and a lot better about myself and being able to manage myself on my own, you know. So it was like I could control my 24 hours in a day a lot better. Where like, you know, I could tell you in 2020, 21 in COVID, I didn't know what to do with my dime. I'd probably just end up drinking or something. You know what I mean? Like, or going to a buddy's house to drink or do something, you know. So it wasn't anything really positive, to say the least.
Do you find it easy to not drink behind the bar when you're working?
Yeah, it's way easier for me not to drink behind the bar than it is if I'm on the other side, without a doubt.
Was there anything that ever happened that kept you from doing that, or is it just something that you've always kind of had, like you just don't drink behind the bar much?
Yeah, and yeah, it's just kind of something I've always had. No one specific instance. You know, yes, I will take, if somebody buys me a shot on the clock, I'm not saying I've never done that, because yes, I have, and people do it all the time. So I've gotten better at saying no because of how often it does happen. You know what I mean? So that was one of the things too. It was like, you know, if this is just a random example, but if I worked in the morning one day at the sports bar and was there from like 9 a.m. to 12 just to get them ready for the football game, I probably had like 30 shot offers. I'm like, you guys are going to have me passed out by 1 o'clock. You guys aren't going to give me any chance to be here this afternoon.
Man, I used to have to work Sunday football, but I would close Saturday night, and it was a party bar, and we would get drunk. I mean, we would get fucked up. And we'd have to go in the next day. And of course, the manager on duty, right off the bat, we were doing bombs just to even back out again.
Yeah.
And by the time your shift was over, you were just fucked up again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The hangover from the day before never even got time to process.
Yeah.
We just expedited that process by putting another one in there.
And most of the time, you're drinking on an empty stomach because you're still
I relate that to the most because honestly, I drank on an empty stomach so much. I was super bad about that in college, where I would just like not eat, essentially. Like, I could, but I didn't. You know what I mean? I knew the way I am is weird. Like, if I know right now soberly that if I get drunk an hour from now, I'm not going to be thinking about food. So, you know what I mean? So that was like how kind of I was looking at it then. It was like, yeah, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten, but I'm also probably going to be drunk in 2 hours, and I'm not going to be thinking about that in 2 hours, you know? So that's how I was like breaking it down in my mind, you know? So yeah, I was super bad about that. And that's why I'm like, there was no one instance behind my bars or any one of my bars where, you know, I've never been really a sloppy drunk, or you're not gonna have to carry me out or anything. Right. Usually, you know, that's some of the stuff I'm participating in, is helping get people out. But no, I mean, every bar, obviously, I've ever worked at's had cameras. I just never want to be the image, you know what I mean? I don't want people seeing me like, oh, Seabass had to crawl out the bar last Sunday, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm opposed, and I love drinking with everybody, with friends and stuff like that. And that's another thing, too. You know, I'm just kind of controlling who you're drinking around and stuff. Don't put yourself in compromising situations like that, you know? Definitely. So, you know, I've learned better, at least, how to pick and choose my battles when I am and am going to drink. When I'm not, you know, I'm either all in or all out in that sense.
And that's smart.
Yeah.
Let's switch to mindset along with that. So obviously you're still young and you're behind the bar. Obviously people are going to hit on you. That's just what happens when there's alcohol involved.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Liquid courage, I like to say.
Yeah. Nonstop, right? What's your mindset when it comes to that? Has that changed at all? Because I know when I first started bartending, it was like, okay, I want to learn. But then you got to a point when you got comfortable, and it's like, oh, that person wants me, that person wants me, I can pick whoever I want tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Has it always been all work and no play for you?
No, I can definitely say I fell for the play trap a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily, I mean, yes, being a single dude, that is easy. You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing I do love about being single, is like having no outside attachments. You know what I mean? If I want to get up and go somewhere tomorrow, I do it. You know, it's like I don't really have anything weighing me down, and I've always loved being like that. So, you know, yes, I definitely had my phase where I'm like, mentally, I was getting a little too cocky. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, I don't feel like putting in effort today, but if I do tomorrow, it'll work. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of coming to that, where it was like, if I wanted something, I put in the effort. If I didn't want it, well, then I didn't, and I didn't get nothing. You know what I mean? So that was kind of how I was looking at it. But in terms of now, no, I'm long gone with that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they can do whatever they want, hit me, or, you know what I mean, hit on me, you know what I mean, say whatever. You know, I've got girls that run into me, or, you know, thankfully nobody's puked on me or nothing like that. So, you know, nothing too crazy or messy. Yes, we get, you know, people that throw up, but nothing on me personally, but I just, the compliments I take, and I appreciate it, have a good one or whatever. I don't pursue it, or I don't let the conversations really drag out, where before I would entertain it and kind of see how where we could get things or get their number or whatever,
right,
versus where now I'll just kind of shut it down immediately.
What was the breaking point where you stopped entertaining that?
Honestly, it was a combination, because like what I was entertaining was fueling what was making me bad. You know what I mean? Like the alcohol and the play were going hand in hand. So it's like, if I didn't even put in effort, like regardless of women, like if I just put in effort, like to go to the bar and drink and socialize, like and meet just random people, like I would still end up 9 times out of 10 end up more drunk on those days than versus like if I didn't even see that many of my friends that day, or I texted everybody to make sure they're good, but everybody just had regular work and nobody was really trying to do nothing. It's maybe easier for me to have like a beer or two versus where, I mean, if I'm with the group, or even if, I say this all the time at my bars in Round Rock, like last year I was sick for like, I wasn't sick. I just didn't have my voice for like a month. And obviously you get it working in a bar, like I'm in there 10 minutes and I can't, somebody asks, recognize me, wants to talk or something like that. So, right. So it was, I just picked up on, the entertainment and the negative consequences coming from both, They were fueling each other. So I had to settle it down, because I mean, at the end of the day, like, again, I am on my own. So it's like, if I wanted to make friends and lasting connections, like I can't have my first impression be, me like, I first time I met Sebastian, he puked on me or fell over, or, he hit his head or whatever. Right, so it was like, that growing up definitely taught me that, where it's like, okay, like, yeah, you can drink and that's not a problem. I've proven that I can manage it and go, 5 months, 6 months without drinking and then go back in, but the issue was when I am drinking, if I drink one day the whole year and that one day gets me in jail, like, well, I did nothing right. You know what I mean? Right. Like not the whole 364 days before that didn't work.
Yeah. Do you think that your tips are better when you play less behind the bar, when you don't entertain the flirting as much?
No. It'll probably, to be honest, like if you put that aspect into it, which I mean, I guess like having a girl bartender on would give another perspective, because I'm sure they probably would say they might have to entertain it a little bit more, because, well, I don't know. I just like, I know how my bars are, and they would much rather have, regardless of how I look, they would much rather have any girls standing and talking to them, because it's just mostly, if it's the sports bar side, you get, middle-aged older guys, and yeah, they like to talk to the girls or, chop it up with them. And even if they're just talking about their wives, they'd rather talk to them with a girl, So in terms of that, like entertainment wise, like most of my bars know, like I'm the same every day. I'm not going to BS with you or nothing really like that. I'm going to shoot it straight and just give you the truth. You want something, I'll give it to you. If I don't think you can handle it, then I'm probably not going to, Right. So it hasn't been too difficult. The entertainment aspect of it though, like I said, I don't really have to, I learned how to be in it without like fully removing myself, I guess I could say, because like you do work in nightlife, it comes with the territory, but you get better at like kind of policing it and avoiding the situation from even happening. You know what I mean? If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So you're not a stern dick, basically, is what you're saying. You still play the part if you have to.
Yeah.
But you just don't close the deal, so to speak, right?
Right, yeah, and that's, I mean, you have to take it case by case, you know what I mean? Because you don't know what my limit is in drinking. I don't know what your limit is, and it's the same with any person that were to come into our bars. We don't know what their limit is, you know what I mean? They could have had 10 shots before they came and saw us. We give them one, and that's the one that puts them over the edge, Yep. So you just kind of have to read everybody, you know what I mean? I've always been kind of good at reading body language and character and stuff like that, so bartending has definitely enhanced that, where in terms of like unnecessary qualities I didn't think I would need, you know what I mean? Like that for sure. I definitely got to be on my P's and Q's when I'm looking at other customers and stuff like that. Or I don't know. I mean, not that anybody ever does this on purpose, but in Round Rock, you can't walk on the street with beer or anything. So like, every once in a while you're too drunk, you forget, you walk out. So like, I got to make sure, nobody's walking down the street just carrying a Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Because, most likely they'll know it come from one of these bars. So, and, police presence in Round Rock is heavy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Williamson County, you can compare it to any small town in America in terms of how their police presence is. They get 911 call, everybody's there.
Yeah.
So that's how Williamson is.
And they are for real.
Yeah, they're not kidding at all. Like
they don't mess around.
Yeah, I've got a buddy that got, or he works with me up in the industry as well. So yeah, he's going through the Williamson County experience right now. It's not fun. Yeah.
As far as being hit on while you're at the bar, what's probably, let's go with Lexington and Round Rock. What's the difference between the two? Being hit on by women while you're behind the bar.
Yeah, Round Rock, I mean, short and simple, with Round Rock to Lexington specifically, was there's Round Rock, I have more likely of a way older demographic coming and pursuing me and not being afraid to pursue me, to be honest with you. And in Lexington, while it is a college city and college town, it's more, I don't want to say more diverse because Austin is very diverse, but I just want to say it's like the demographic is kind of more even. You know what I mean? The range, like there's, even when I was in college, like a freshman in college, I had class with 50-year-olds, like 40-year-olds, you know what I mean? That they were coming back to finish school. Obviously, that's awesome, you know, so that's amazing. But like, it was just that perspective where I'm like, oh, I'm best friends with your dad, actually, and we're the same age, and I didn't even know you until I met your dad. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's like,
funny.
yeah. So like those kind of scenarios, you know, you're like the gap is bridged a little bit better to where it's like, because Lexington is smaller and doesn't have that many options, we're all going to end up at the same bars. You know what I mean? Because we only got 10 to choose from anyways. You know,
Right.
we don't really have a Round Rock or something else to drive through. So, you know, usually it's like Round Rock would be coming to us, or, you know, East Austin would be coming to us, Bluffing Springs coming here. You know what I mean? It'd be like that sort of scenario. So the gap was kind of bridged a little bit just because there was fewer options, but, you know, you kind of get everybody in one area.
When you said the women aren't afraid to hit on you in Round Rock, can you elaborate on that a little bit for me?
Yeah, I mean, there has been some savages that have come up to me in the Round Rock bars, and, you know, first time, I'll never forget, this is day one, and this couple still comes up there. They're great people. I know them, but they were just drunk this first day I met. This was my day one in Round Rock, and they're just beer drinking. That, you know, they had a little bit too much. They weren't like bad drunks. They weren't, you know, they were fine. They still left and everything like that, got an Uber home. So they did everything good. But every time the husband would like sneak away for a cigarette, or like outside my bar, it'd be like if you went outside right here, you can see, you know what I mean? So I can see you if you're outside my bar. And every time she would come over, she would talk to me first, and like, you know, she'd be like, if you ever need anything, let me know, like give me the rundown, everything like that. You know, I think there was a close connection. I think I wore one of my Kentucky shirts that day or something like that, and there was a close connection that they had with that. So from the beginning, they had kind of seen something on me that, you know, felt close to home to them. And yeah, man, she just kept, you know, I talked to her, you know, I was being nice. We were both respectful, and same with her husband, but she was making it way too obvious, at least to me, that she was trying to talk to me more when he wasn't around. And yeah, like right before they were leaving, one of the final times, she had like wrote her number on like her ticket receipt or whatever, and just, I mean, I've had my back to her. She just stuck it in my pocket and, you know, essentially said the same thing she had been saying. And I was like, yeah, you know, have a good one, take care, have a good night or whatever. I'm like, feel my pocket. And I was like, she literally just put her number in there. So yeah, I have had that. And then another funny one is like, this is crazy, but this girl, she's not married, she's divorced, so she is single, and she's a very good looking 40-year-old woman, you know, middle 30s, 40s, whatever. And this one I did, at least the last couple I knew, you know what I mean? They came in as a group, so I knew. But this lady, she came in by herself, and she, you know, there was no red flags from the beginning. She was just kind of there. It was during the day too, so you know what I mean? Like I wasn't expecting any red flags. I was just kind of up there to make sure my bars were okay. And she, you know, she was cool. She's very nice, friendly, and we were talking about sports and everything like that. Well, I guess that whole entire time, like she was in the bar, like at our bar, she was like texting her ex-husband or whatever, or he was trying to figure out where she was at. Because by the time he did get there, she definitely needed a ride. So her goal, to me at least, was to drink enough that she was going to need a ride or an Uber or something. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like she planned on driving later that day. And so she had stayed in our bar probably from like literally 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. and was there the whole day. So by the time I'm like telling the cooks they can leave. I'm like, the kitchen's closed. Sorry, nobody else can buy food from the cooks. You know, like it's just only alcohol now until midnight. And I go back there and get some of the stuff. And I mean, she like is like following me down to the office. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And I turn around and like she was like, oh, she essentially, I didn't even see her say this, but to her ex-husband once he got there, she's like, oh, I'm with him. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, you're not. I work here. I'm like, I don't even know you. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like trying to put the pieces together. She's like, no, or I didn't say this, but she was like, he's taking me home. I'm like, no, I'm not. I literally had to have a talk with her husband at this point. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I did not tell her to say any of that. You know what I mean? So it was like, there's just like random things like that where I'm like, I gotta be on my P's and Q's. That dude could have swung on me. You know what I mean? Like he could have thought that I was like legitimately trying to take his girl or whatever, which it was not like that. You know, and that's why I'm like, I've also had like girls hit on me around their boyfriends, and their boyfriend's like, quit. You know what I mean? Like, just like stop, you know? So like I've had that happen too, but that's not a big deal. And again, like I'm the guy, I'll straighten it out for you. I'll try my best. Like, you know what I mean? There's enough to go around. Like, I don't need to be freaking stepping on toes like that. You
Right.
know what I mean? So her persistence to like not only like manually put her Instagram in my phone, like while her husband's there, like those are just next level things. I'm like, I can't even control what's around me at this point.
So this woman was there drinking for 7 hours, was flirting with you for 7
Rightfully
hours.
that whole time. Yeah.
And then once her ex-husband got there, she told him that you were taking her home.
Yeah. She was like, I'm the ride. She had, I mean, again, she was there. I'm not saying like, she, you know what I mean? I've seen way worse drunk people. And this girl, like we said, she sat there for 7 hours. And that whole time, I didn't know she was texting her ex-husband, but she was, you know what I mean? And I'm glad she was, because she definitely needed him to get home, or he needed her to get a ride, you know, from him. So, you know, I didn't know that he was planning on showing up. I was just like, great, you know, that here's another person I got to freaking throw in an Uber. Like that, I'll throw that in there real quick. Our bars, if you need an Uber ever and you don't even have money for it, our bars will pay for it, and then our bars reimburse themselves. So,
That's awesome.
It's absolutely nothing for us to throw anybody in an Uber. We don't care, boy, girl, whoever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that I will say that right now, we will do that for anybody. No questions asked. We'll order the Uber for you and put you right in it.
You got lucky, man, because I feel like that ex-husband, if he was still madly in love with his...
That's what I'm saying. That was what I was
that
thinking.
could have been terrible.
Problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've heard those stories before.
Yeah. I've heard
just-
those stories, seen them. Like, that's why I'm like, Mike, I've seen one relationship go sour. You know what I mean? Like, it's the simplest thing that could have been fixed, or, you know what I mean? The arguments were never even that big of things to be fighting over to begin with, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like the littlest misunderstandings lead into crazy bigger issues than you think, you know?
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I'm like, don't be telling people stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? No, I'm me. I'm here.
So you were talking about starting a podcast. What are you going to have that be on? How to...
Yeah, I mean, mostly, in terms of like posting wise, I mean, I'll post on every, you know what I mean? I would like to clip it up and then just kind of get it out. You know, I'll put the long-term format. I would like to do, you know, a YouTube version that way, because I think, you know, some people do like to have the visual as well. You know, I don't mind the audio, especially being on my feet. I'll throw the AirPods in and just listen to podcasts all day. But no, I personally would like to do it with video as well, and that that would just go straight on YouTube. You know, we would post it straight on YouTube. We want as many, you know, I mean, like you, we want as many eyes on it. No restrictions, no nothing to anybody. You know, we want everybody to be able to have access to it.
What would it be about?
I mean, mostly we were talking about nonprofit work, so hopefully I can retell it into that, or, you know, align it with that. And then, you know, the podcast is there. I want them, you know, the nonprofit, and then, you know, I eventually would like to have my real estate company as well, you know, so that way I can have my own portfolio of properties and everything like that, you know, which I would need, you know, if I'm going to have like studios eventually at some point, I'll need multiple office spaces. And so the nonprofit, you know, what I want it to be is a tool of Austin. So, you know, I was saying broad when I said single men, single moms, but I feel like those are like too big. Like, I don't know, if you help a single dude, like he has he has the baggage that he comes with, but after, you know, you help him out or do him a favor, whatever, he then can now go ahead and help 10 more people. You know what I mean? Because he's a single dude. You know what I mean? He's not taking care of kids or anything else. You know what I mean? Versus like if you're already married and have kids, you know, prioritize that first.
Right.
And then, you know, go after whatever else. So, you know, that's why, you know, single moms, single men's has always stuck out to me. Obviously, I was raised by a single mom. So, you know, that too, you know, obviously give them some help and stuff like that. But the main reason I'm targeting them is because I think that they can help the city more. You know what I mean? So it's like, in me, it's a long-term investment. Help these people that in turn will essentially just grow the city on their own, because, you know, help them, you know, whatever they need, whether it's career or, you know, just getting their mental health right or whatever, you know, helps them grow up to the next step. You know, all those things are things that they can now teach the next person. So it's like, you know, that's essentially the goal with the nonprofit. So it's been harder, like, in terms of starting it, it's not an issue. In terms of finding the right people to do it with me, that has been the picky process.
I think you just got to go with it, and those people will show up eventually.
I think so too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so too. And that's kind of what I'm learning, you know, the more, especially I've learned that very well here in Austin. You know, I've never been somewhere where the industry, like service industry one, is like so supportive of one another. You know what I mean? Like, you walk into, just for example, like you work on Rainy, you walk to another bar on Rainy, well, they already know you, you know, so it's like they've already seen you, or you walked into their bar, you've walked into theirs, and vice versa on any parts of 6th Street, you know what I mean? Everybody, the industry people, you know, we recognize faces, and we see faces, even though we see a lot, you know what I mean? We recognize the same ones that we know are close to us.
Definitely.
So, you know, I do love that aspect of it, and it has, that's definitely been proven right, that me pursuing the right paths have just led to the right people following those paths.
Definitely. Well, I think it's a great idea, and I think you got something there. You could also just have a little side podcast on how to talk to ex-husbands about how you're not taking
mediation with Seabass.
their ex-wife home yet.
Yeah,
it'd be good.
Yeah,
So you'll just flip your initials that time. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean that. Yeah, turn it around. And I mean, again, like I was saying, it like the podcast, like there is no specific topic. Like it's supposed to be a tool. You know what I mean? Like if I would like to get to the point where where I can get 50 to 100 to 200 people like volunteer work, amongst the city, like doing stuff, cleaning Zilker, cleaning up the street. You know what I mean? Like just in general, like again, while I was saying like single moms and women's, it's like, if I just had like 100 volunteers, 50 volunteers, shit, even 20 volunteers, like to go down 6th Street right now and regardless of what happened yesterday, clean it. You know what I mean? Like, who cares what happened yesterday? Mm-hmm. Just pick up the trash, whatever, make the street itself, the road, like that, all the eye candy that everybody's going to see when they're driving, just make it look clean. That's going to grow the city. That's going to grow the tourists. That's going to grow everything. You know what I mean? That's less money that the city of Austin has to pay on trying to clean the city when you have one nonprofit that's essentially, using itself as a tool, So that's the plan. That's the plan. That's the goal to help the city. And then the city has a little bit of stress relief.
Sounds like you got to go to some schools.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I was intrigued. I mean, this is my first time coming into the library, so I was very intrigued to see how many people actually are coming here. I need to come here more, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
And do like my work out of here that I can do on the laptop.
Absolutely. There's a lot of resources here.
Yeah.
You can meet a lot of people, and the library will help you too.
Yeah.
They'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, no, honestly, I mean, that's what I'm like. We have a very, very nice one in Round Rock right next to ours. And I mean, when I lived here as a kid, it was a very tiny baby library up there. But now, man, they've got this like super nice modern like college campus library. So, I do go to that one too, since I'm right there by work. It's nice to run over there sometimes. Or if I got to print something out, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they
definitely
got the printers and everything. So
you got 6 bars and no printer?
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn.
No, well, yeah, to be honest with you, when I moved down here, I brought nothing. So I'm that guy. I'll start over every time. So, when I was leaving Kentucky, gave my mom the TVs or, anything that I thought was good or that she could use, take it. Cause all I moved here with was 3 boxes of clothes that I knew I was going to wear right away, the dogs, and like essentially appliances like for the kitchen. That was about it. I brought the bare minimum. I didn't bring nothing. Everything I brought could literally fit in my SUV. So even the dogs.
Good stuff, man. Well, I think we're going to stop here, but
Cool.
It's been great having you on, Seabass.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
And you're welcome back anytime.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah.
We'll have to do something again together, especially like, I was saying, like, I'm trying to do some nonprofit work. So,
Yeah.
if I get some stuff while you're in Austin, I'll definitely send it your way so we can see if we can align again.
Definitely. Always, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Megan.
Cheers.